Hello, Miss Phillips. How are you? It's nice to see you again.
Yourself, how are you?
I am doing awesome. So what brings you here today?
I want to talk about depression.
You want to talk about depression. What about depression?
I don't like being depressed. Like, I go in and out. I have negative thoughts.
So what are some of the negative thoughts that you're having?
I feel as if I'm not accepted or I'm not loved.
So you feel that you're not accepted and you're not loved. So are you unhappy?
A little, yeah.
Why is that?
I guess it has to do a lot with my past relationship.
Your past relationship. What about this past relationship?
It was very abusive.
Very abusive. So
Physically, mentally, all the above.
So what are some of the physical and mental abuse that occurred in this past relationship? Because it sounds like you have some concerns.
I'm sorry, say it again. What was the question?
It sounds like you have some concerns about your depression, and the past relationship is what caused it. The physical and mental abuse. So what are some of the concerns that you have?
I'm just wondering, like, to find ways to cope with it so I won't be down and out, sad all the time. I just want to be happy.
So what I'm gathering is that before the prior relationship, you managed to have a better life. Before that, how was your life before the abuse?
Well, I mean, I grew up in Gastonia. I have 2 brothers. You know, we got along great. It just, my depression came in my young adult life, I would say.
So you often find yourself upset and sad? Why is that?
Because all the stuff and trauma he put me through.
How long did this
I'd
last?
say probably about 4 years.
Well, let's see if I have this correct. So you're here today for depression, and you're here to talk about depression, and your prior relationship was abusive and mental abuse. And you said that before the relationship you were happy, and that he became very negative. Why do you think he became negative in your relationship?
I would say he was more insecure, and he was going off what people told him, I'm assuming. So it would make him blow up.
So you said some things that people told him. Did he discuss some of the things that people told him with you?
Sometimes.
And you felt like those were some of the reasons why he became angry and upset with you? And do you feel like he took that anger out on you?
Yep.
Why so?
Because especially verbally, he would, abuse me. And physically, but I don't know, he just go off.
So, what do you need in this session to make things successful for you?
I want to have ways of how to cope with depression, like some help, because I really don't have my mom and dad to talk to about it, so.
So you don't have anybody that you can talk to this about. Is that why you're here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I noticed that while you're here right now, you're being very logical about the conversation while you're sitting here. Why is that?
Because I feel like I can trust you. And at first I thought I couldn't, but I think I can trust
Well, I'm concerned about you being depressed, but I also noticed that when you come to my sessions, you're often late. Is that because you're not comfortable?
Mhm. Yes, and I felt like it wasn't gonna help. So
What made you feel like your meetings with me wouldn't help?
mm, I'm gonna say, 'cause I probably thought you weren't gonna take it serious. So you probably don't think I was a joke.
Well, no, I don't take it as a joke, and I take it very serious. And I would like for you to know that everything that we discuss in this meeting is very confidential. It won't be shared with no one else. No one else will know anything that you tell me. How does that make you feel knowing that confidentiality plays an effect in these group meetings with me?
Good.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, earlier you mentioned that you didn't know how to cope with your depression.
Mhm.
Why do you feel like you can't cope?
'Cause I don't have anybody to talk to about it.
Okay, so you don't have anybody to talk to about it, so you feel like you can't cope?
Mhm.
Do you feel like you need to talk to someone about your situation
Mhm.
that better helps you cope?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's nice to know. Well, do you think that we can try an activity for our next session for you to bring out to our next session?
Mhm.
Okay, so we're gonna put in a plan for your depression, and when you get depressed, I would like for you to write it down. When you get depressed and how you cope through that depression, and bring that back to your next session so we can see some of the ways that you cope and go off of that. Um, are you willing to do that?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you feel about that activity?
I'm willing to try it.
That's awesome. Well, you seem more confident than you did an hour ago. You're smiling, you know. So I hope this was a good session for you. Do you feel better
Mhm.
than an hour ago?
Yes.
Why is that?
'Cause I feel like I can trust you.
Okay, do you feel like you got some things off your chest?
Mhm.
Well, that's awesome. Um, I would like to let you know that this meeting will last up to 6 weeks. I can see you twice a week, and we'll go through some skills and some steps to help you with your depression. How does that sound to you?
Good.
Well, I also feel like we accomplished a lot today. How do you feel about that? Do you feel like we accomplished a lot today?
Mhm.
Well, what I would like for you to also do is think of some consequences before you take action with your depression. So, and we'll talk about it at the next meeting, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Thinking about some things that make you depressed and keep you depressed, and we'll just re-talk about that in the next session and see where we go from there. Well, Miss Phillips, I feel like this was very successful.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, awesome, awesome. And I will see you next week, next Tuesday at the same time. And I hope you enjoyed yourself and you feel a lot better than you did before. And I was glad and awesome to see you again come back out to see me.